Yo, man. What's good, man? It's your boy, Mickal. Hey, Kim, Snap, bro. Today, video, man, we got the heartbreaking story of Nate Dogg. Let's get into it.
Album Get Rich or Die Trying. However, Dr. Dre asked Nate Dogg to perform the hook that 50 initially sang.
Girl, it's easy to love me now.
Hold
Would
on.
you love me if I was down?
This decision undoubtedly helped the song appear in a whole
That song was fire. 21 questions? Yes,
new light,
sir.
since Nate was one of the best in performing choruses.
Till the room comes off, till the lights go out, till my leg give out, can't shut my mouth.
Without exaggerating, Nate Dogg was the king of hooks. He didn't have a successful career. However, other artists wouldn't have become successful without his voice. 30 years have passed since Nate Dogg's first hit song, Regulate. For many, their love for hip-hop began after listening to this song.
The east side of the LBC.
Oh, this one?
Mr. Warren G.
Nate was born in the city of Clarksdale, in the state of Mississippi. His dad was a pastor, and his mom was responsible for singing in the church.
Wait, he's from Mississippi? I swear, y'all, I thought he was from California. I thought he was from Cali. I ain't know he's from Mississippi. I thought he was from Cali.
Where little
Oh,
Nathaniel sang in the church choir. At the age of 14, after his parents' divorce, Nate moved to California. During one of the
Okay,
church
never mind. There it
picnics,
is.
being Snoop Dogg's cousin, he met Warren G. At the age of 17, he dropped out of high school in Long Beach and left home to join the U.S. Marine Corps. He was an ammunition specialist. After returning 3 years later, he was kicked out of the house by his mother. And together with Snoop, who was also given the proper send-off at home, the boys were forced to turn to crime to earn a living. But despite that, they never forgot about music. Under the influence of his then idol Richie Rich, whose group was called 415, they created a group called 213. Initially, yet another one of Nate's cousins, called Lil Half Dead, was included, but he later went solo. There was a studio in a store in LA, and that's where they recorded their first track, Long Beach is a Motherfucker. These guys recorded solely for themselves, just to be able to hear how their voices sound on tape. Snoop and Nate rap, and Warren tried to be the DJ.
You know, the homies that's in jail. You homie fag, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, you know what's so crazy? Yeah, you know it's crazy how like sound with these rappers that we know how they first started, how they sound, like their first music, how they sound, and then they get better every time. They work on trying to find their flow in their sound, and they get better every time. Hey, have you noticed how they sound like not trash, but they're trying to find their flow and sound, and then once they do that, they get better and better and better and better and better. And that's how we know Snoop Dogg, Ice Cube, all these rappers from back then that we know about them. That's how we know about them. You know what I'm saying? But they make
Pretty
that
famous
gangsta
Dre,
music
who
too.
happens to be Warren G's stepbrother,
At that time,
became
there
one
was
of
no
the
gangsta
main
music.
guys in the rapidly rising label company Death Row Records. It was a difficult task to get him interested in 213's work. Dre was more interested in Snoop,
In the house with the pound like every day, and I'm right back up in you with Dr. Dre.
the young singer's official
Doggy
debut
Dogg
was
album?
on Dr. Dre's epic album, The Chronic, which led to the signing of a contract with Death Row.
Can't be faded. I'm a nigga from the motherfucking street.
By the year of 1994, Nate was arrested a few times for crimes which include a robbery of a check cashing company and Taco Bell. One More Day
Taco
became Nate's
Bell?
first successful solo work. In the song, he talks about his time spent in prison.
One more day. One more day.
Yo, I don't know why, but I feel like back in like the 90s and 80s, I feel like they made music, like they took their time to craft and to put out great music. How y'all know? Like, yeah, I was born in the early 2000s, so like when I look at this, when I go back and listen to music from the 90s, even the early 2000s, the 80s, the 70s, from like the Jackson 5, Temptations, New Edition, Boys to Men, yeah, NWA, like all like I noticed that they took their time to make great music. You got Tupac, Biggie, they make great music. And then their albums, like I feel like they make so much good music, like they made perfect albums. Like the Snoop Dogg, what's that one album? The Doggy Dog album. You had the Dre, the Chronic. You had Biggie. What's that one album he had when it was like the baby picture? It was like the baby on the album. That's his best album. You had Tupac. I forgot what was Tupac's best. I forgot. But if y'all know what I'm talking about, y'all know. I feel like back then they made like good music and people can like understand and feel what they're talking about. Now I feel like now people are just making music just to make it. Like people are not passionate. They're not even like really telling the story. You got people making TikTok music and saying the same thing. It's like I feel like music nowadays is just garbage and trash. Like, you know?
Our hero's time was ticking, and the release of his solo album was delayed. By that time, Warren G was offered a contract at Def Jam. The first single from his debut, Regulate G-Funk Era, under the name Regulate, became famous worldwide. And, in sincere honesty, Nate Dogg deserves the main credit for that.
The east side of the LBC on a mission trying to find Mr. Warren G.
The song made it to the second spot in the Billboards and was nominated for a Grammy in the category of Best Song Performed by a Duo or a Group. This was a great honor for rap back in the day. The song was initially planned for the albums of both artists, but Death Row made it clear that there will be no solo albums from him until the end of 1995. Generally speaking, the relationship between Suge and Nate was tense from the very beginning. Nate always carried a gun and wore a bulletproof vest because he didn't trust people who went there. He felt scared every time he entered that building, while Suge just said they won't touch him and that he shouldn't be worried. He also thought that Suge's act at the Source Awards in 1995 was shitty.
Then I thought to myself, like, why would you do that?
By 1996, Nate Dogg already had a few successful collab songs to his name, particularly with Tupac. If you were to check out the All Eyes on Me album, then you could notice Nate featured on 2 tracks.
That's the album right there, All Eyes on Me. That's the album.
That, along with the banger Ambitions as a Rider, are the opening tracks of the album.
No matter where I go, I still the same hole.
And finally, his debut album, G-Funk Classic.
See what I mean? It's like I used to hate on 90s music so much and 80s music so much that I was so blinded. I feel like I was blinded to good music. I go back and now I listen to like 90s music and like 80s music, 70s music. Like I feel like I listen to that music so much more because it's actual like music. They have a story. Like you can feel the lyrics. Nowadays, bro, it's like there's nobody like that. I mean, there was, because you had Kendrick Lamar, J. Cole. I'm talking about like Kendrick Lamar and J. Cole, the people that like they can like if you put Kendrick Lamar and J. Cole in the 90s, they will still be big too. You know what I mean? But they're just born in the wrong. You know what I mean?
Classic Volume 1 was released. To put it bluntly, Death Row completely disregarded his solo album, which had every bit of potential to have a good run in sales. The label stopped printing his discs, and just 3 weeks after its release, the album could not be bought anywhere. All of these misunderstandings led to Nate Dogg leaving the label and deciding to open up his own label company, where he bought the rights to his own music from Night. He added a few extra tracks and released G-Funk Classics Volume 1 and 2.
To all the non-believers now, I bet you see, nobody does it better than me.
In the album's first week, it sold 33,000 copies and reached the 20th spot on the R&B charts. This quite seriously upset Nate. Those close to him said that it seems that he might be missing something when it comes to solo songs. His circle thinks that it was always easier for him to work with someone rather than alone, which is why Nate continued taking part in collab songs with many rappers.
Take a seat. Hope you're ready for the next episode.
You don't really wanna fuck with me. Only nigga that I trust is me. All the real smoke does no.
Nate ain't passing nothing but dope indeed.
And with his hooks, he was also helping those new to the game. Take the track with Fabulous as an example. Can't Deny It was the artist's first hit song, which helped the rapper gain popularity.
I can't deny it. I'm a fucking rider. You don't wanna bang with me.
Yeah.
He once said in an interview that he wants to become the artist with the highest number of collaborations with other performers.
Different area code. Area code. Bro.
However, he didn't forget about solo releases.
Damn, bro. Damn. You know, it's crazy, y'all. I found out about Nate Dogg too late. But then I wasn't born, you know, so when he was making music and doing collabs, you know, I wasn't born at that time. And I found about it, like, once I found about him, later on, I didn't know he passed away. I didn't know that, you know what I'm saying?
So his next album became Music and Me, which peaked at number 3 on the Billboard Top R&B/Hip Hop Albums chart.
I got love for my homies who be rolling with me. Play no game. For money, cause the money's the game. Side homie, it's a Long Beach thing. Girls, so fine. I can't help it, got to make.
And later, the 213 group reunited, and they released their first and only album called The Hard Way.
I was just about to call till Snoop Dogg told me that he found your boring.
The final memorable tracks in Nate's career were his collaborations with Eminem on Shake That and Have a Party with Mobb Deep and 50 Cent.
To the motherfucking mountaintop. Heard motherfuckers talk, seen them drop.
I never heard that one.
Touch your body like me want to.
All of these masterpieces were recorded under the influence of alcohol and weed. He really liked drinking cognac in particular. For example, a bottle before a concert, another during the concert, and a third after the concert.
Bottle before. Oh, that's a lot. Before the concert, during the concert, and after? What the fuck? Damn. Drinking that lot? Like that? Damn. Before the concert, during the concert, and after the concert? That is crazy.
Sir. All of the parties and the drinking led him down the wrong path, and this impacted his health. Nate had 9 kids, but he always tried his best to spend as much time with them as he could, and people took notice of that. As he himself has said, he had an angel on one shoulder and a demon on the other. And when his kids went to bed, by midnight, they would hear how their dad would pop another bottle.
Wow.
As one of his cousins said, when he drank, he would start tripping out. Trip out name was Buddy Love. And this Buddy Love could be seen in an incident in 2006 when he was drunk and broke into the house of a woman he was engaged to. She cheated on him, so he wanted to take back the ring he had gifted her. And the woman was not home alone, but with a guy who told Nate something that triggered him to beat him up. In the following year, he was involved in a serious accident. That was the beginning of the end. In that very day, he discharged himself from the hospital with internal brain hemorrhage to be able to perform in Vegas. Although he certainly should not have done that. Further, a few months later, Nate suffered a massive stroke, and he lost function in one half of his body. Snoop arrived at the hospital with his wife to pay his friend a visit. Snoop's wife said,
I thought you said you broke up with her. And he was like, nah, I can't break up with her yet. I still...
Damn. What? I didn't know this. That's crazy, man. I ain't know that, bro. That's sad, man. That's the thing is too, but I feel like we don't really know what people go through. Like, you know what I'm saying? When people drink heavily, we don't know what they're really going through, you know what I'm saying? Because sometimes people are not just to drink heavily like that. Sometimes behind the scenes that we don't know, there's something else that's going on that they probably want to say it. So when they want to fight the pain or whatever they're going through, they drink. Like, you know what I'm saying? It's the same thing with the dude from I think it was Paul. Remember Paul? If y'all know about the Temptations, Paul, he was heavily drinking. Was it Paul? Yeah, I think it was Paul. He was heavily drinking because he had I forgot what he had. I think he had sickle cells. That's how he fought the pain, was drinking, but he couldn't take it no more. Unfortunately, saying he took his own life. But what I'm saying is we don't really know what people go through where while we're asking why they're drinking so much or why they're doing this so much, it's probably because they're really going through something that they probably don't want to say, you know what I'm saying? And probably they do try to say, but maybe you're not listening, then maybe it's too late, and then you found out, and then you find out later, you know what I
You're a
mean?
lover. And I didn't know what the hell they was talking about. Then I looked down, and there was a bottle of Hennessy right by his leg.
He decided to organize a choir. He didn't just do this for himself, but for his mother as well. When Nate was in the hip-hop industry, his mom couldn't listen to his tracks. She considered his work to be vulgar. Nate really wanted his mom to listen to his songs, so he invited her to the studio to help create songs. Despite that, he continued drinking, even though his family told him not to every single day, and he would respond saying not to worry about it. In 2008, he got married to LaToya Calvin. However, this marriage didn't last for long. She filed for divorce a few weeks later. Nate had enough problems on his plate without this issue. He had high blood pressure, which he was on medication for. However, stressful situations and his intense lifestyle led him to getting another massive stroke a few months later, which completely, physically incapacitated him for the rest of his life. He was fully paralyzed. He couldn't walk nor talk. He had to get a tracheotomy. Such a surgical procedure involves getting a tracheotomy, which is performed in cases of airway obstruction. After the operation, Nate communicated with eye movements. For his relatives and close ones, it was very hard to watch, knowing that his time was running out.
That's sad, man.
On March 15, 2011, Nathaniel Dwayne Hale died at age 41 in Long Beach of complications of multiple strokes. After his passing, rappers spoke out about Nate Dogg by explaining how important of a figure he was for hip-hop. Snoop Dogg. We lost a true legend in hip-hop and R&B, one of my best friends and brother to me since 1986 when I was a sophomore at Poly High where we met.
That's crazy, bro. They've been, imagine that, homies for all them years when they went to school together. Poly, 86, bro. Oh my gosh. And they came up together, they made music together, bro. I feel like that was probably like Snoop's like truly friend was Nate Dogg. See, I didn't know they met when Snoop Dogg was a sophomore at Poly High School. I didn't know that. I didn't know that was that close. I thought they just met each other from the music stuff. I didn't know that they knew each other since they was in high school. That's something that you're saying you gonna agree with, you probably still gonna think about, because something that you met from when you're in high school and then y'all did music together and y'all, you know what I'm saying, helped each other out. Nate Dogg helped Snoop out. Snoop Dogg, hey, Nate, you know what I'm saying? Damn, I didn't know that, man.
I miss you, cuz. I am so sad but so happy I got to grow up with you, and we'll see you again in heaven. Because you know the slogan. I love you, buddy love. You will always be with me forever and a day. You put the G in G-Funk. You put the 1 in 213, and you put your stamp on everybody you ever did it with. All dogs go to heaven. Yo, homie, and baby brother, Big Snoop Dogg. Warren G. You are free now, my brother. I will see you again one day. 50 Cent. I just landed Nate Dogg is dead. Damn. God bless him. R.I.P. He meant a lot to West Coast hip-hop. I've always been a fan of it. I wrote the chorus to 21 Questions. I needed Nate to sing it for me. He had a way of making everything feel hard. Eminem. Nate's voice in music will never be replaced. He helped create the blueprint for West Coast hip-hop, and I was one of the lucky people who had the privilege to work with him and the honor to have him as a friend. Nate will be sorely missed. My condolences and prayers go out to his family and loved ones. The next video I recommend you watch is the heartbreaking story of D.
Anyways, man, that's sad. I didn't know about all that, man. That's sad, man. Let me know what y'all think down below, man. Yeah.